This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa. Using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boneyard of Keota, Iowa. For all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's your choice. Your Choice Family Restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Come to our cruise-ins this summer on the second Tuesday of the month, June through September. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of jet stops. CW Tree Trimming, LLC. We're into your trees, not your wallet. Serving all of Henry County and the surrounding area. We offer a senior citizen and veteran discount. Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs, and they even have a conference room that you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present you the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. I'm outside of the Henry County Courthouse in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. It's Thursday, September 25th, 2025, and the Henry County Board of Supervisors held their weekly meeting, and I attended. On today's agenda were the following: approval of agenda, approval of minutes, and approval of claims. The opening of RFP bids for Henry County rural garbage, County Engineer Jake Hotchkiss weekly update, discussion in traffic ordinance potential revenues for Henry County, Sheriff Rich McNamee discussion on drug task force revenues and courthouse security, discussion on audio-visual support, and determine on Board of Supervisors room, Supervisors Committee reports, and of course public comment. I've broken this up into two parts. This first episode will focus on the business with the sheriff.
Next item is discussion on traffic ordinance, potential revenue for Henry County. Steve and Sheriff McNamee, I think you're the two leads on this one.
I had put this back on the agenda just to follow up a little bit because the sheriff had given us some follow-up data. So over a course of 3 years, we averaged about $80,000 in income that we could generate to the county. So fairly sizable amount of money that we should recognize. And I don't know where Steve is with the county's version of how that impacts the ability to write tickets. Rich, any?
I know two of our neighboring counties just adopted an ordinance to bring the traffic code into county ordinance, and I've talked to one of the two sheriffs, and it's paying dividends. Obviously, that revenue staying right here in the county rather than go to the state. I don't think it's going to change anything as far as our enforcement efforts. I think Steve can say from the report that our deputies give out a lot more warnings than they give tickets.
3 to 1.
3 to 1. That's right. That's the nature of a sheriff's office, I guess. But in a nutshell, I think if we stay with our common theme, if you will, of enforcement, we're still going to look at $80,000 in revenue potentially a year. Even if we get a fraction of that, it's still a good chunk of money that the county could be keeping.
I would totally agree. Chad, you get some background there? Any debate on that?
I don't see why there wouldn't be an action taken like this. I mean, the end goal is to create safe traffic patterns there. Right? Mm-hmm. That's being done. It's all through the revenue, whether it goes to the state and the court systems and things like that, or more of it stays locally here.
And I haven't heard anything back from the county attorney on that yet. Rich, have you heard anything?
I have not heard anything.
Okay. Nothing from this group yet. So I'll follow up with the county attorney, see where we're at. maybe we get that moving here in the very near future.
You know, if you say two adjoining other counties are doing it, you know, it would be interesting to know why not, you know, why not take that action, you know.
We know Lee for sure, so it's.
Lee and Lewis are the two counties that recently adopted, just recently adopted.
Yeah.
As far as all the counties around us, I don't know who's got ordinances, who doesn't. I just know those two counties recently adopted an ordinance, and it's working well.
Yeah, and I got the information from Lee County, and that's where it all started from, with the supervisors down there, so.
And Rich, I think similar type things are done with the municipalities, like Mount
Yes.
Pleasant writes some of the violations under the
Yes.
municipal code, which in turn reroutes some of that revenue back to the city versus the state as well.
Yes.
Is my understanding.
I know 30 years ago when I worked for Mount Pleasant, we had an ordinance that adopted the traffic code, the 321 code, if you will. I think there's some common sense practices there. If you have a violation or a series of violations that are gonna be probable for court action, you file them under state code. But if it's a simple traffic infraction that probably is just gonna be a fine paid, you write them under the ordinance. That way the court system has them under state code and they can process them through the court system.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a repeat offender on something.
Yes.
The accumulation of violations on your driver's license don't accumulate if it's under a county or a city ordinance.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, I guess.
And I think there's always a possibility if you file it under county ordinance and there's some more serious infractions that the court system, the county attorney's office can move them into, consolidate them into a state case for that processing.
Okay.
So, could, we get an ordinance from the other counties then?
I'm certain we could, yeah.
If you
We
would,
have it
please,
right
would-
there.
Yeah, that's one of them.
That's one
Lee
of them right
County,
there.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
And kind of make it our own
Yeah, we'll have to talk to
Adjust
Steve
it
and follow up
or
and see if we can
Okay.
get him to do his follow-up on that.
Okay.
So I'll follow up with him on that.
All right.
All right, good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Rich, next thing, Sheriff, maybe we have the discussion on drug task force.
Yes,
And also the courthouse security, which you and I have discussed.
Yes. So I made each of you a copy of my notes, and I don't wanna be redundant. Just that way we're all on the same page. So, as you guys know, the Sheriff's Office joined the Southeast Iowa Narcotics Task Force in this, spring of 2019. We joined Burlington Police Department, Des Moines County Sheriff's Office, and West Burlington Police Department as members of that drug task force. Prior to that, we were members of the Narcotics Task Force out of Ottumwa. We made the change at that time for several reasons. One of the reasons was that the task force in Ottumwa was charging us a membership fee of $5,000 a year. And then the task force out of Burlington said, you come and we'll share our Burn Jag grant revenues with you. More importantly, we started seeing a large change in our drug connectivity cases. We weren't seeing that many cases tied to Ottumwa, but we were seeing a lot of cases tied to the Burlington area. So we felt with those two reasons specifically that it was a good idea to switch drug task forces. It's proven very effective, and over the past half dozen years, we've had numerous federal indictments for drug trafficking that stemmed in both areas simultaneously. You know, the drug dealers were working in Burlington and Mount Pleasant specifically. As of the recent overviews, many subjects have been arrested and charged with drug distribution through the drug task force. Several of those cases started or ended or both right here in Henry County. Recently, the commander of the Southeast Iowa Narcotics Task Force at our last board meeting requested some changes in the funding. Essentially, as with most things due, the costs have gone up. There's a lot of costs on the table with the task force right now having to do with technology. For example, when we joined the drug task force, we were just starting to see a lot of Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff being involved in the communications of our suspects and offenders. Computers, GPS trackers, phone extraction systems are all things that we've
purchased or started to maintain over the last half a dozen years. Not to mention undercover monies, so monies used to buy drugs through an informant kind of thing. I included a copy of the commander's memo, and it's the second page of your packet. Essentially, for the last several years, we've got a check quarterly from the Drug Task Force to be members of that, and it all pertains to the Burn Jag grant. So the commander came to us and he said, he simply put, if you want to continue participating, I'm asking you at least this year to consider reallocating your quarterly payments and put it back into general operating funds rather than give you a revenue check. So the last couple of years it's been $9,650 annually. So we get $2,500 per quarter, and they're asking for this year to turn that money into operating money rather than give it to each entity as revenue. They want to do it this year and then reevaluate their expenses each and every year after that. I don't have a personal problem with it. I think it's a great thing. I think we've seen large dividends coming from being members of that Drug Task Force. I know they have some computer issues at the Drug Task Force that they're gonna have to upgrade their equipment. So for me, it's a simple yes, we should do this. But they asked each of us, department heads, to come back to our Board of Supervisors and explain it to you, answer any questions that you might have, and see if you're willing to agree with me that for this year, we reallocate that revenue back to the Drug Task Force as operating money. Do you have questions? So the second page is the Task Force Commander's memo. The page after that is the revenue that we've had come in since being members of the Drug Task Force. I will point out in the revenue in the middle, that's kind of an odd amount, $12,866. That is because outside of allocation of the quarterly expense, they also reimburse us for methamphetamine or heroin overtime expenses. So if I have a deputy that's working a case, they reimburse our wage for that deputy to come and work with the task force. So that's why it's an odd amount in the middle of that document.
So with the information that they share with you and you share with us, do we know where most of that drug trafficking come from? Is it like Chicago or St. Louis or into the Burlington area?
There is a large connection to Chicago. Obviously, ultimately, most of that drug trafficking comes from the south, comes from Mexico. Not all of it, and in a public forum, I really don't want to go too deep into that because we are working active cases.
Okay, that's understandable. But it's good information, good follow-up.
Very roughly speaking,
From the south.
We have a large connection to the Burlington area, which is connected to Chicago, which is connected to Mexico.
Okay.
So you're asking us to give our allocation?
Blessing, essentially, yeah.
Blessing to them instead of paying $5,000 a year, of which we have.
Well, ultimately,
been
yes.
doing.
We've been paying $5,000 a year since Kenny
Right.
was the sheriff,
Yeah,
quite
prior to
frankly.
that.
And then when I took over as sheriff in 2013, we looked at, we did away with that immediately. And then we've been getting anywhere from $7,000 to $9,000 a year from the task force out of Burlington to be members. And they're just asking for at least 1 year to reallocate that $9,000 to operating money. And then we'll examine it every year, to see if they need more or if they can go back to giving us a revenue check.
And how many people are in the task force?
There's 4 agencies,
Four
it's
agencies.
Des Moines and Henry County and Burlington and West Burlington.
So
Police
we're
department.
doing is that money split evenly?
It's split evenly,
So it's
which
$40,000.
quite honestly, I think we're reaping a larger benefit than the county next to us. It's very much larger.
Okay.
I don't have a problem.
No, I think that's
I think it's a good idea myself.
very workable.
Right. Okay.
No, I'm heads up on this. I think if we don't do something with drug problems, it's just a big snowball rolling downhill.
So just a question to tie into this then, Sheriff McNamee, how does our opioid task force or our opioid dollars tie into this? Or is there a tie into this?
It's not directly tied in any way. See, essentially the opioid funds are for education and prevention. Obviously, ultimately it ties in because they're both illegal substances. But that opioid fund, the
This is
opioid
prevention,
funds.
right?
No.
No.
Well, yes, in its essence it is enforcement. Ironically though, opioid money cannot be used for enforcement. So this is kind of a sidebar, if you will. The opioid money is a sidebar to help with prevention. This is enforcement for prevention. But the opioid monies cannot be used towards the drug task force unless they're going out to do an educational project.
Okay.
Can't be used for the investigative apprehension.
Right.
Prosecution.
Right.
The whole litany of things that it handcuffed to.
Wish it would, because we could put a couple more deputies on the road and probably make some major progress.
Okay, I'm sure there's some sense in there somewhere.
Yes.
Do you want a motion?
I don't think so. It's just a discussion item to make sure you guys are okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next thing on that same agenda item is courthouse security. I know we have some people here interested in it. I just want to make a comment first that we did have a meeting of courthouse security, and with Judge Wyatt Peterson presiding, and the minutes are not public. The meeting is not public.
Yes.
So, we'll go from there, but in that discussion that day, the big thing was, the courthouse security, and far as my discussion with Sheriff McNamee afterwards, was more security here, and
Yeah.
I think that's what we're gonna be discussing right now,
Yes.
in part.
Yes.
And we're talking internally, within the building?
Within the building, yes, sir. So once again, I brought you a packet. Essentially, the first page is just my notes that I'm gonna go through here in a moment. The rest is an email correspondence between Judge Peterson and the clerk of court, and then some data, the pieces of the Iowa code that pertain to some funds that are available, and then our balance, ledger balance from 23-24 of those funds. And you can peruse those at your leisure later, but May 1st, Judge Peterson and Sarah Maddox, the clerk of court, and I were here to speak to you about the needs for a uniformed deputy during peak court times. This was described as Mondays, Fridays, and every other Wednesday, and that corresponds with district court days, magistrate days, and every other Wednesday is associate district court days, and the court activities when they're at their peak. I recently attended that other security meeting that Mr. Landine was just speaking about, and Judge Peterson was there, and other elected officials and department heads. During that meeting, we discussed the courthouse security needs again. At the May 1st meeting, the minutes of the board state that we'll continue discussions on this matter, and just like Mark mentioned earlier, I'm just here to bring it up and discuss it a little bit more and see where we're headed with it. I personally feel with the active attacks becoming more increasingly volatile and so forth, the court's volatility in itself, and with the number of violent cases that our country's seeing each and every day on a more regular basis, I'm prepared to move forward with a part-time deputy here in the courthouse. And I'm willing to put in whatever work you gentlemen feel we need to do that. This, in my mind, this will only require some policy writing, because we have no policy on a court security deputy. Some logistics, because we have to figure out what their hours are gonna be, what we're gonna pay them, what their benefits might or might not be, and then the funding. I went to the funding, I went back to what Judge Peterson brought up on May 1st when he was here. Every time there's a charge written in Henry County, there's a surcharge attached as part of that. Those of us that have written tickets over the last 4 decades, we know that there's a surcharge. I look back, and in 23-24, that surcharge funded Henry County $22,279, and that's in your notes, second to last paragraph. If we utilize this funding, I think it's a wash, and actually we're still a little money ahead. You can see on my notes, if a deputy works 20 hours a week and we pay him $35 an hour, that comes to $18,200 annually, roughly. Plus some assorted costs. Obviously, we have to have a uniform on them, and they have to have gear, the benefits, that if they apply. This is very cost effective, and obviously the hours, wages, etc. are all part of the logistics that we have to iron out. I haven't done a lot of research, but I did include that packet, an email from the clerk of court, talking about the revenue. If you want me to do more research, I certainly can. I have talked to a former deputy sheriff that's willing to maybe come back on a part-time basis. Obviously, that's not locked in, that's part of the logistics as well. I think it's really simple for us, at the sheriff's office to get this started. It just requires a little bit of logistics and policy writing and your approval for the funding. So, looking for some guidance, some discussion. I know I've talked to a couple of you and you seem to be receptive to the concept. Whatever it takes to move forward, I'm certainly in the loop.
Would this entail remodeling any areas of the courthouse for use as like an office area or a desk area, or would that just be?
I initially thinking, Chad, I don't think we need to do anything for that deputy, because they will come to my office, get a squad car and drive up here, spend their day in the courthouse. If they're in one room typing something, they can move, they'll have a laptop that they can move and type somewhere else. Quite frankly, I expect that deputy to be out being seen by the public, contending with any issues that come up, checking in with every office and elected official or department head to say, hey, is everything peachy today? I'll see you in a couple hours when I make my next round. I want that deputy to be out and present and doing their job, keeping the courthouse secure.
No, I was thinking like maybe a rotunda desk area or any reception type areas, or.
I initially thinking, and obviously that's all part of our logistics, I really don't think that's necessary. If we have a high profile case, historically, we've set up a metal detector and maybe we need to lead to that at some point. I think initially we do not need to do that. I think just the presence of that uniformed deputy should make a serious impact. Obviously, you know, as time goes by and things get better or worse, heaven forbid, we may have to look at something like that. I know around the state of Iowa, there are some courthouses that have checkpoints when they come in the door. I don't think we are at that need yet.
And then second question, the 22,279 from fiscal year 23-24, that's directly tied to convictions, right?
I believe it is, yes. And if you look at the accompanying pages, and I don't expect you to read them right now because it's about 10 or 12 pages. I think the total revenue generated, and it's on one of the last pages, is like 33 or 4,000.
37, yeah.
But 60% of it is ear tag for security purposes. So I think that's all kind of a part of that logistics equation, if you will.
And the sign of the times.
Yes,
I think you know my sentiments.
I do. Yeah.
I am very much in favor of proceeding with this, and sooner the better.
Okay.
Completely. And I would leave it up to you to figure out how you want to do this exactly with our blessing.
Okay.
And that's my thoughts. I'll leave it to the other two.
Do you have any concerns?
I don't have any concerns. I think it's something we need to do, and it's probably something that's past due, so it's obviously time to step up and make sure that we have a secure facility, not just for the employees here, but for the community as well.
Agreed.
So I'm all in favor of it.
One thing I'd say, talk to Paul, go from there.
Well, we'll have to write a job description. That's obviously something. A question I did have come up, because the specific deputy that I'm thinking of is on the early retirement program with the insurance. How will that logistically play out if they're on that early retirement insurance program?
That would be my question as well, since we're talking 20 hours. If we're 19 hours, I think there's a difference, but if we're
Right.
20, there is a difference, so. We
Exactly.
probably need to talk to Paul, and make sure we understand the impact of where we're at there.
Okay, I think we can work that out pretty easily with Paul. Would a motion be appropriate to move forward with this, or I don't know how to do that. I guess I'll leave that up to you guys.
Mr. Chairman, would you like us to make a motion?
I'm thinking about this. I mean, we can say motion to move forward, but we need, I think we'll need a motion when it becomes final.
I agree with that.
And that's the way I look, that's the way I look at it, cause I don't want this motion to say we are doing it 100%, because we don't have all the costs.
Okay.
And all the other little logistics
Yeah.
worked out, but, I think sort of like everything else we've done here earlier, just.
Table
we're
it?
giving, no, not table it, we're giving a.
We're gonna continue it, we're gonna
We're
continue it for
but we
more
want you to
discussion, but.
get to do that legwork, so
Okay.
we can make the final vote, which we know what we'll probably be.
Okay.
So do you have a timeline in mind?
I think I could probably get it done in the next 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was hoping you'd do it less, Rich.
I can sure try. I can
Well, let
sure
us
try.
know and
Yeah,
we'll get it
I
back
will.
on the agenda.
Okay.
We'll get a motion put together.
Perfect.
Yeah,
This may be my simplest trip here in a long time. Thanks. No, they're not. Thanks, you guys.
You're very welcome.
No
Thanks for the
problem.
information.
I'm glad we're able to work this through, Rich.
Me too. Thank you.
Always a busy Board of Supervisors meeting and an interesting one as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my sponsors. But before we name the sponsors, please give this episode a like and make sure to follow and subscribe. It's free. Once again now, thanks to my sponsors, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane, and the family of Jet Stops, CW Tree Trimming LLC, Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.